Discover the secret of St. Kilda. Come smell the heather and sit by the fire. Come talk and laugh with a community of like-minded souls seeking salvation. Come walk the rugged cliffs, listening to the screams of seabirds. Listen to the screams of something else far beneath. Out everywhere on the 28th of December. Follow us on @TheKilda to follow the drama as it unfolds, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Life's a game, the world's a stage, and we are merely role players, where theatrical people play role-playing games. My name's Matt Boothman, I am your compere for this Backstage episode from the main house. Who am I joined by backstage?
Hello, it is I, Christopher Starkey, also known as Cameron Jarvis, and I play the Wronged.
Yes, and Strat, I play Brier, the Monstrous.
And for this Backstage episode, we are here to talk about Ghouls.
Ooh.
Googles.
Cameron's quarry.
Why yada.
So the Wronged in Monster of the Week has a thing that he is hunting. Is all part of the playbook. We set that in character creation as Ghouls, and I think I remember from Cameron's character creation episode, neither of us really had any idea at that point what that was going to look like. We just said, let's put this name on them and see where we end up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we added a few details in Cold Snap, but the main reason that we need to add some more flesh to the bones here and devote a whole Backstage episode to Ghouls is twofold. First of all, Starkey, you spent some luck in Cold Snap, and when the Wronged spends luck, they find a dangerous lead on their prey. So we know there's going to be ghouls in this Vigil story.
Oh yeah, baby, I'm coming for them.
And we want to know exactly what we're doing with them before they turn up. And secondly, we had a revelation that neither of us saw coming in Cold Snap, just from a confluence of different details, that the one ghoul that killed Cameron's family, that wronged him back in the past, that Cameron beat to death with a big rock, isn't actually dead.
Damn it. Was it not a magic rock, Matt? It wasn't a magic rock?
Not at the time.
Oh, damn it.
So that particular ghoul is potentially out there, and, I feel like a dangerous lead on your quarry should probably apply to that specific one.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we might see that ghoul, so we need to add some more detail to that as well.
Cool.
So let's just quickly recap what we know about ghouls already. So we encountered some in Cold Snap, and we learned via some flashbacks with Cameron's old mentor, Ernie, that ghouls are sort of creatures born from kind of unfounded fears, and the ones that we saw in Cold Snap were formed from like the unfounded fear of people in like gated communities and posh neighborhoods of hoodies on the corner wrecking stuff up, and their fears create these ghouls that look like hoodies with knives up their sleeves. But there can be other types, and we know that there must be other types because you described, Chris, the ghouls that attacked Cameron's family as being kind of more ape-like almost. Do you want to, have you got, like, tell us a bit more about the picture in your head?
I think I was going from like a 10-year-old child's imagination gone wild.
Cool.
So what might be living in the woods?
Interesting.
So what would Cameron have been scared of?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, what would be that noise he would hear outside the tent when they were camping? Would it be like a badger, which is much more likely, or could it be a giant ape with claws that that might come tearing through the tent at any second?
That's nice, and that's interesting that it sort of opens up ghouls to be like the boogeyman as well as what we've already had them as.
I mean, that makes sense as well, considering they're kind of smoky and incorporeal. Like the idea that it, in its smoky form, sits under a bed or in someone's cupboard, makes a noise, and then manifests based on what that child or what that person thinks it is. Really cool.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think maybe it might have looked different to Mum, Dad, and Susie as well. Possibly, who knows? Like maybe it wasn't. Maybe I saw it as that, but maybe it was different, and that's why the hoodies that we encountered might have been more of a collective image of of what the neighborhood might be scared of. But they all had similar items. So the hoodies had knives and blades. The ape killed the family by ripping it to pieces with its horrible, horrible claws. So there's still cutting elements to it, slicing elements.
I want to keep the idea that sort of that they are these incorporeal, smoky, shadowy things, and they clothe themselves appropriately based on what they've been sort of influenced by. So the ones we saw in Cold Snap, they've literally like gone through bins and clothing donations and stuff like that, and found that so the clothing that they're wearing is physical and real, and hence can be cut through and release the thing. So these ones that are slightly more ape-like, I guess, might be wearing kind of animal skins that they've acquired.
I guess it would have been dark, right? So
yeah,
Cameron wouldn't have really have got a good look at it. So maybe all he really felt was rough fur or something of that nature. So it could well be an animal fur, an animal skin that he felt, and he just in his mind that's what he put it together as.
Yeah,
in that moment.
Which is a common thing, right? People see what they want to see, or like in situations like that. If it's dark and you're scared and you see flashes of things, your mind puts together pieces. And
there's a lot of potential in this because this makes me think that probably ghouls are Bigfoot.
I think maybe in Cameron's mind they are.
People are expecting to see something mad in the woods. They go out looking for something weird in the woods, and they find it.
I guess because they could be anything. Like, whatever. If you're scared of something, they're not going to be a Bigfoot, but they could certainly look like a Bigfoot. It's like how through history, there have been, like in the past, there are reports of ghosts and stuff, and the aliens were not reported until sci-fi was a thing, because that's when people knew about aliens and thought they might see an alien, and before that it was will-o'-the-wisp rather than a little green men in a forest kind of thing. So it's obviously in this world there probably are vampires and werewolves. Well, we know there are vampires and werewolves and all that sort of stuff, but I guess these things are super dangerous, and could appear like those things if that's what you're scared of, but it's kind of like they're wearing it, like you say, like a costume, whereas their real thing is smoke but incorporeal but horribly sharp. That's a really lovely little kind of detail that they've got, that these claws or these knives, like they're sharp and they're cutting, because there's something terrifying about that. Because if you were scared of somebody with a gun, that hasn't got quite that visceral thing, but the fact that these things have to get up close to hurt you and hurt you in that way is real creepy.
And just remind me, Matt, were the ghouls carrying actual knives? Or were they like created by them? I can't remember now.
That part maybe is more ambiguous. I don't know that I don't think I'd come up with a definite answer to that, whether they've like raided the hardware shops for box cutters and Stanley knives, or whether the blades are a part of the ghoul that kind of takes a shape.
I mean, obviously we could leave it ambiguous, but in my mind throughout that game, it was a part of them, because they seem to be so many, like and never-ending supply of, and exactly where they needed to be at the right time. And you could do that obviously by going and nicking a load of knives from like a kitchenware shop or something, but it didn't feel it like felt more biological, like real, like than stuff.
It's like that's the sharp end of the manifestation of the fear, isn't it? Like you expect them to have knives, so they do. Yeah, or you expect them to have claws, so they do. Be interesting to think of other kind of, like we're saying with kind of cryptids and things, like other unfounded fears that could form different types of ghouls. Like the one that I had in my back pocket, if we didn't have a good idea for where the ape-like ones came from, was like the fear of like secret government laboratories, like escaped experiments and that kind of thing. It was like obviously a conspiracy theory and something that is not like a rational thing to be afraid of, but could potentially form ghouls.
Am I right in? Sorry, you just kind of struck a memory there, and I'm not quite sure if it was ever like decided this was a thing, or was just something we talked about in passing in one of the other character creation episodes all that time ago. But I seem to remember in somebody's, it could have been Chris Buxey's, that they caught something, and the thing that attacked Chris's family had escaped and was being.
No, that was mine, Richard. Yeah.
Oh, that was you. Oh, so that kind of. So if that is what happened, and the the Department of Omissions was doing this, can we kind of cross the streams there? Maybe in this particular case, the conspiracy is real, and they had trapped some ghouls and were doing experiments. Like, what happens if we pump them with fear? Like, what if we supercharge ghouls beyond what their natural manifestation would be? What if we spread rumors around, like the kids of the town and the grown-ups of the town of something, and like siphon that fear from the surrounding area into these things? What happens? And obviously what happens is stuff goes wrong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it is definitely worth recapping kind of what we decided about that, because I am going to use it in this
nice.
one. So we know it has been established that the reason that there was a pack of ghouls there to attack Cam's family is that the DO released them for reasons unknown. Like obviously the DO know, but the exact nature of it was some sort of experiment, but there was we what the nature of that experiment was hasn't been revealed on air yet. But I do have a good idea of what the nature of it is, and I think it's going to play into the story this time.
Oh God, Cameron's not going to go and find the whole of the DO, is he? He's not going to find out. Because I don't think we had resolved whether he actually knew the DO had released them. Just that Ernie had just turned up.
No, I don't think Cameron knows. No, unless you've been doing some serious investigation in your off time.
It's not Cameron's style, I don't think.
Sounds like a possible dangerous lead you might have discovered.
Yeah.
Then.
He does some serious push-ups, but serious investigation is not his thing.
Well, you have relationships with people in the DO, so
absolutely
possible to find out. And I like also that the responsibility for the attack is kind of an interesting multifaceted question now, because it's obviously the DO released ghouls, but I like the new detail that the shape these ghouls took was shaped by Cameron's fears, because it sort of I can see that being something that he beats himself up about when he finds that out.
Literally his motto, right?
Yeah.
Just too scared.
Yeah, but if he hadn't been so scared, then they might not have taken such a dangerous shape, or might not have attacked at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that powerful.
Oh, poor Cameron, it gets worse and worse for him.
He is the most overwrought, and that's that's what he's there for.
Yep.
Let's talk about this specific ghoul that you thought you killed and didn't in that case. We want this to be an antagonist for Cam. Like, Cam has spent his life up to a certain period thinking that he had dispatched this ghoul and this set him off on his journey. And then he discovers during part of his training that because he didn't use magic to kill it, it's not actually dead and could return in whatever form.
Oh, God.
So I imagine maybe the experience of being beaten to death with a rock by a small boy might have had some sort of effect on it, and it might now be an atypical example of ghouls.
It's more scared of me than I am of it.
Its ego is tiny.
Well, and this is kind of one of the things that Ernie says about ghouls in Cold Snap is that because they're like born from fear, they are fearful creatures themselves, and that's why they kind of pack together often, and like they attack when they're scared of you more, or when there's something bigger than them. You know, they make good minions because they're easily scared by something big and nasty like the Winter King into doing its bidding. But that's where my mind's going. But Starkey, like, this is your nemesis. Like, what are you kind of what sort of nemesis interactions are you excited to have? Like, what would be a cool thing to be hunted by, fighting?
So originally when we did the character creation all that time ago, I think I had in my mind set up ghouls as like Cameron was basically like an exterminator. So he would be indiscriminately swipe out ghouls. I don't think he'd sort of thought of the one, because he thought he'd killed the ghoul, right, that he had done. So I sort of saw him as being much more a generalist in terms of ghoul dispatching rather than having like a singular enemy.
And, you know, in gameplay terms, any ghoul will trigger like the wronged moves of when you're hunting your particular prey and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. But now that we know the ghouls out there, you know, shit's got personal. And he's pretty single-minded to begin with. And so I think after the events of Cold Snap, he's probably devoted most of his attention onto doing what limited investigation work he's capable of doing, given his less than stellar intellectual feats.
I guess you would have had you would have potentially had the help of the whole crew, though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think what would be cool would be like a proper mano a mano style fight. I think that's what Cam's all about. I think a nice big portion of emotional wreck would be good as well.
Yeah,
like definitely playing upon. I think that's his fragility, right? That's where he's weakest, is at his sort of heart.
So an enemy that's really going to throw the guilt of like, ha, I killed your family and you couldn't stop me in his face.
Yeah, I think to be fair, that's the only way that anyone could really stop him. Because once he gets the battle rage going, he is literally unstoppable until the end of the fight. So they've either got to be clever enough to understand his weaknesses and be able to read him well enough. So, and whether ghouls are that clever, I don't know. Or whether through what the DO has done to this particular ghoul, whether that's elevated him to some level of, I don't know. I think there's going to have to be psychic mindfuckery going on to deal with, which Cameron would have to rely on friends to help him with.
I want to just kind of throw this out there based on something Matt said about this being a kind of a unique specimen, something different about this ghoul that no other ghoul has. And then like us saying about how it would feel after being brought low by this tiny child and feeling that fear. It kind of feels like in all the other descriptions of ghouls, they're kind of bestial and instinctual. They don't really go out looking for fear. They're just born of fear. They've got no. They don't go out and try and provoke fear out of people because they are fear. I wonder if this ghoul has felt more fear itself personally than any other ghoul, and maybe this is something that has allowed it that little insight into humanity that has made it go, I can scare them, and the more I scare them, the better it is for me. That link with experience of whatever experiment it was in. So I wonder if it's because it would then know, because the other thing, they just run an attack, right? They weren't thinking. but to give it that ability to go, right, what actually scares people and what scares this person in particular, and because that's like mainlining fear at that point. It's not a generic fear of a community about hoodies on the corner. That's this particular person's fear, like concentrated.
Have you and the DO gone and created the boogeyman?
Well, that'd be awesome.
It's kind of where that idea is going, right?
The creature under the bed, trapped in the creature in the closet. You know, all of those sort of the scary feelings and thoughts you have just as you turn the lights off. And then you take that 10 minutes as a child just to settle down and think, well, I'm okay. And you turn the light back on again. And you think you see the shadows moving, but they haven't. Has the teddy bear just moved? I don't think it has. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I quite like it.
Yeah, I like the idea of it, like the thing that's changed it being that it has experienced fear like a human. Because the other possibility that springs open in my head is that this could be a ghoul that is capable of creating other ghouls.
Ooh.
If it's, they're all born from human fears, and this one can feel fear like a human, so it can birth other ghouls to back it up.
Queen Ghoul.
Oh, that is a devastating power, because if it looks like you're going to beat it, and it gets worried and scared that it's going to win, back up.
Oh God! So the only way that Cameron can win is to forgive it. Oh fuck! Oh no! And then Gwen's won.
It's all right. She's not in this one, so she won't be around to see it, to gloat. Cool. So so something that's a bit more of a psychological manipulator, a bit more aware of Cam's kind of emotional flaws that it can play on, rather than just kind of generalized fear and pack attacks.
But also, like, whoever was like in charge of releasing it, I think has to be brought to some level of responsibility.
Yep.
You know, Matrix style, shooting up the lobby of the of the base may not be the right port of call, but I think someone's got to.
It's never going to be over, is it?
No,
that's the question. Are these experiments still happening? Was that the end of it?
Exactly.
I think I know, but I'm open to weird roles and moves in the game changing that, because hasn't appeared on air, so it isn't canon yet.
And also that would stretch Cameron to his limits, because he's a monster killer, not a person killer.
Yeah.
Like, where would he go with that? Is that just too far for him or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
Do you go full John Wick?
Oh God.
That's another Morrigan test as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right there.
Isn't it just? She really did pick a poor bastion of hope for humanity. Is he redeemable? That's the question. Don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Do we want to, I don't just want to keep calling this thing like the ghoul or that one ghoul or the ghoul that you beat with a rock. So I wonder if there's is this the ghoul, the uber ghoul, or is this the bogey? Is there a different moniker we can give this guy?
Well, I've had a bit of a dad joke brewing for a little while. And I don't know whether I dare put this on air, to be fair. I think Charles de Gaulle would be excellent. Hello, I'm Charles de Gaulle.
Oh dear.
Well, maybe not. Uber Ghoul probably sounds better.
Cam gives everybody nicknames.
True. I don't know whether he would give the ghoul that killed his entire family the nickname Charles de Gaulle.
Making fun of something is a way to decrease your fear of it.
True.
Maybe. True. But you're right, it could undermine its gravitas, but that could be the point.
I'm going to get you, Charles.
Cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll mull on those options. I mean, Cam can call it whatever he wants.
Absolutely, and he will, I'd imagine. Yeah. anyway, that was just an option for you there, Matt.
Okay.
Just to mull over.
All options considered.
We don't want to insult our French community, though.
I mean, Josh insulted everybody else in Bad Dog, so
Yeah.
That's fair.
any other thoughts on either ghouls in general or this particular ghoul? Or thoughts or hopes? That I want to create something that is going to be satisfying for you as a foe.
Yeah, I think it's I'm more interested in what this actually means for Cameron moving. Like the result of meeting this is sort of actually, I think that's going to be more interesting than necessarily Cameron fighting it, if that makes sense, or
Yeah.
combating it. It's like if he does succeed, or if it does run away, or if whatever happens, how's he going to react to this? This is like, will it be as it slipped through his fingers again, literally, or is this only going to be a stepping stone to an even worse situation that he's getting himself into? And how is that going to affect the rest of the team, right? So he's dragging potentially 3 other people into this situation who could be put into a pretty perilous situation for his own bloodlust, his own revenge. If something bad happens to them, how's that going to affect him? Is this going to be? Is this, if he does kill this ghoul, is that job done? Has he achieved his goal of avenging his family, which is guess what was all the training was for? So I don't know. Like I'm more interested in the fallout of it rather than necessarily what's going to happen in the fight, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think that's because it seems a bit fallout is what makes Cameron more interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's always fun to hit things with an axe, right? But actually,
yeah, with all of any like climactic confrontation like that, it's never actually about the punches being thrown or the axe being swung, is it? It's all what it means in the characters' heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's pretty messed up to begin with. So yeah, that's what I'm really most interested in, is if the mystery keeps going deeper and deeper, how he's going to deal with that, especially if he finds out that the DA was responsible, and knowing that Ernie spent all that time with him. And it's not a huge leap to work out why Ernie was probably so involved once he finds out the DA was involved, So I think there'd be quite a few questions to answer for old Ernie. Yeah, I think that's what I think I'm more interested in a way. But yeah, I think it'll be really interesting just to see how, and how the rest of the team react. Like, why should they really care? Like, unless obviously there's got to be a threat for a lot more people than just Cameron.
Yeah,
for them all to get involved.
I really want like with this sort of stuff and everything Chris says is spot on. It's all about the fallout and how Cameron reacts. That's gonna. I can't wait to find out how that is from like a listener perspective. As an audience member, I'm very keen to see, Matt, what other forms the lesser ghouls take. Like I loved your idea of the ghouls in Cold Snap, and I would love to see almost like there's a hierarchy of ghoul. That's how it works, right? When you're going for the big bad, there's the little grunts at the bottom, and then you get there, and there's the lieutenants, and then there's a big one. Obviously, you don't need all of that, but like different levels of what else people are scared of, and also like talking about the other members of the group that are going up against it. Obviously, they're bringing their own fears as well. And we've now got a big bad that knows and can take advantage of other people's fears. Like that's 3 other people that it can do a Cameron on, potentially. So that really interests me. I want a bad roll to happen, and you, Matt, ask them, what's your character scared of? I want to know their fears.
I think we can deliver that.
Nice.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed. A bad rolls. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Can't wait.
Me too. Great. Well, I think with that, we're ready to play.
Good luck, Chris.
This has been Vigil, a main house production from Merely Roleplayers. It stars Helen Stratton as Melody, Chris Starkey as Cameron Jarvis, Vicky as Renko, and Strat as Brier. Sound design for this production is by Helen Stratton, and the theme music is by Alexander Pankhurst. I'm Matt Boothman, and I play the supporting cast, as well as editing and producing the episode. We were playing Monster of the Week, a role-playing game by Michael Sands, published by Evil Hat Productions. You can find Monster of the Week at genericgames.co.nz. Merely Roleplayers is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, if drama be the food of life, play on.